But in the meantime, Jeff, what other questions do we have to answer?
Well, we have a very exciting question, and this comes at it from a different angle, if you will. But no, this is a triangles angles question, and it says, question is, we can kind of see right there, I have a triangle with two sides of equal length, and I know the value of one angle is 55 degrees. How do I find the value of the other two angles if I only know one?
Yeah, I can take that one. It's a geometry one. I actually cheated and copied it onto my OneNote screen,
Cheater.
I wouldn't have to draw it because this looks a little nicer how it was sent in. So if you go up to my screen, I have this up. Now, this kind of question or this kind of problem is one that you really have to remember some properties of these triangles. So first of all, I kind of want to point out what we mentioned in this problem was a triangle with two sides of equal length, and that's going to be really important for this. So a triangle with at least two sides that are equal length is called an isosceles triangle. And there are a couple things that we know about that. One, if we have two sides of equal length, we also have a couple angles that are the same. So it's important to note that because if this were not an isosceles triangle, I'll get into it in a little bit, but we would not be able to figure out these angles. So one thing I want to point out is that what we always do when we try to find unknowns is we talk about variables and we label things as variables. We also try to think about all those properties like we mentioned. So we know in a triangle, all angles, and I'm going to use this notation, are going to add up to 180 degrees. And if you remember, this is true of any triangle, whether it's isosceles, equilateral, scaling, they're always going to add up to 180 degrees. That's the first thing that we need to know. Now, problems like this, I think the tricky part that sometimes students get hung up on is when they are comfortable with the idea of, I know that I have some missing information and that I should assign a variable. Well, if you assign a variable and you say, okay, this is angle y, and I want to find these two angles, I don't know either one of them, so I'm calling one of them x, I'm calling one of them y because they are different angles. The problem that comes up is you say, okay, I know all these angles add up to 180 degrees because it's a triangle. So I could write an equation that says this angle, 55 degrees right here, plus this other angle I don't know, I'm calling x, plus this other angle y I don't know. If I add all these up, I should get 180 degrees. Now, the problem with this right now is that I've got one equation, I've got two variables. So in this case, using all the strategies we have for solving equations, it is not possible for me to figure out what either of the angles would be individually. But again, coming back to what we know about isosceles triangles and knowing that these two sides are the same length, well, we know in an isosceles triangle we have two legs of the same length. The base angles are also going to be, so this angle right here and this angle right here, let me highlight that instead of circling it. These two angles are also going to be the same. So whatever angle x is, angle y will be the exact same thing. So what we do, instead of assigning this variable over here that I had highlighted, instead of calling this angle y, well, we know that this angle is the same as this angle over here. So if I'm going to call this angle x right here, I can actually call this angle right here, instead of y, I can give it the same variable because it has the exact same value. So once I know that, I can actually rewrite my equation and say 55 degrees plus this angle that I don't know, x, plus the other angle that I don't know, but I do know that it's the same, should all add up to 180 degrees. So now that I have an equation set up with one equation to one variable, now I can solve this and say 55, combining my like terms here, plus 2x equals 180 degrees. And I'm going to get rid of the degree symbol for now. And then I can just subtract 55, and I get 2x equals 125. and then just solving for x, divide by 2, divide by 2. X is going to equal 62.5 degrees, right? So because, again, I know the properties of the isosceles triangle, I know that two side lengths are going to be the same, and the corresponding angles that kind of create those sides are going to be the same. I can assign the exact same variable and come up with an equation that has only that one variable.